I heard. Y'all ready to sing? Let's turn to page 271. Send the light. Page 271. Once you find your pages, I'll stand to sing. I guess Alan drove by here and saw that Kathy had that big truck out there, so he went home and got his dump truck so he had something biggest thing on the lot. Here we go, page 271. There's a call comes ringing o'er the restless waves, send the light, send the light. There are souls to rescue, there are souls to save, send the light, send the light, send the light. The blessed gospel light, let it shine forevermore. Send the light, the blessed gospel light, let it shine forevermore. That's the wrong verse, isn't it? If I'm reading the words on the page, it's not the right page, is it? The chorus is the same. No, the chorus is different. The verse is different. The verse is the same, the chorus is different. Don't pay attention to the words on the page or the notes. I never do. Sing the second verse. And don't sing the chorus as it's written in the... That's not the same verse. I don't know what it is. The chorus is different. We have heard the Macedonian call today. Send the light, send the light. And the golden offering at the cross we lay. Send the light, send the light, send the light. The blessed gospel light, let it shine from shore to shore. Send the light, the blessed gospel light, let it shine forevermore. Last verse. Let us not grow weary in the work of love. Send the light, send the light. Let us gather jewels for a crown above. Send the light, send the light, send the light. The blessed gospel light, let it shine from shore to shore. Send the light, the blessed gospel light, let it shine forevermore. Thank you. Have a seat. The words are the same once you get further over in the chorus, but something's different about that. I don't know what that is. Okay? Leave me off. Alrighty. I like the last verse which what I went to was let us not grow weary in the work of love. A lot of times people just get tired, okay? Get tired of serving and get weary. But the truth is that there's something inside of me that can't. I mean, I get exhausted, physically exhausted. We get home from work about 6:15 today, and eat something real quick and fight against it for the next hour, and then on your way. But it's, don't get weary in the work, because it is a work of love. Okay, and I think about, of course, everybody knows about the riots and all the things going on, and everyone has different opinions on it. But the truth is, there's only one solution to all the problems in America today, and that's Jesus Christ. If the Christians would act like Christians, then you wouldn't have the riots that you have. And if the Christians would witness to the lost people, you wouldn't have the riots that you have. If we would learn to be a witness that we're supposed to be, if we're really supposed to be the light, then it'd make a big difference in our community. Okay, and not just our community here in Sissonville, but our state, our nation, whatever. It's just that we're supposed to. I was listening to radio a lot this week. I've driven about 40 hours already this week, just going different places. So I listen to radio, whether it's NPR or CNN or Fox News or talk radio, whatever. I just listen to different channels and stuff while I'm driving. And I've listened to a couple of different interviews, and some of them throw me off completely. Like there's certain people, and I'm going to bring this up because the riot things is going on, that they're there are African Americans today that say all white people treat them differently. Okay, they treat them different than they do other white people. And I told Tammy this after I heard that. I said, I don't think I treat anybody differently. I'm abrasive to everybody. No, I'm just kidding. I abuse everybody. I'm snotty and mean to. Yeah, the truth is, I talk to everybody I see. I mean, it doesn't matter. And I thought about this when Tammy and I the other day we were driving. We pulled in someplace, and it was Sunday, and a couple. I want to say, since you use the term now, a couple of black guys are standing there beside the van, and Tammy just just waved, and I nod at them. Just we're like that with everybody. Aren't we supposed to be that way with everybody, right? You're supposed to be kind to everybody, especially those of the household of faith. We read that verse last week or 2 weeks ago. Especially those of the household of faith. So we're supposed to be especially nice to our brothers and sisters in Christ. But then, how can we witness to people if we're rude to them, right? I mean, if we're just unkind, just mean-spirited, and I've known Christians that are like this. Rebecca told Tammy about a situation that I guess just this week with some friends of y'all's. I don't know the situation, but all the situation. But I think, how can you be rude to people? Okay, as Christians, you're not supposed to be, right? As Christians, we're not supposed to be unkind in any way. I mean, we tell somebody. You tell people the truth about things, but you're not unkind or rude or demeaning towards people. Okay? All right. That's my rant for now. The lesson's over. Just kidding. Just kidding, Jared. Just he's ready to get in the truck. Okay. Anybody got a prayer request? Okay. Mm-hmm. And he's the one that broke his hip, right? Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? Keep our church family in your prayers. As I go through the pews where people are supposed to be, I think about Jason with health issues, and he has continual health issues, and with this COVID-19 concerns him. So, and Bible school's coming. He's working on it. He's going to do the skits and stuff that he always does. But I have to just wear your mask, do what you need to do. Okay. I think Patty, keep her in your prayers, and Gary's supposed to have back surgery. I think they put it off till next year. And Annette, and just throughout the church family, just keep everybody in your prayers as you and all of them. Carrie, come back to okay. Okay, pray for Carrie and Charlie, and we're traveling home tonight. Okay, all right. Anybody else? I have not heard. I'm telling you texts, and sometimes she tells me what the texts are, and sometimes she has not mentioned Tracy. Okay. Keep Tracy in your prayers, because she has health issues ongoing for the last 5 or 6 years anyway, so it's been increased, I guess. All right. Anybody else? All right. Martin, we lead some prayer. I'm thankful for our church family. I say it often. I'm going to say it often enough. I'm thankful for our church family that there's a whole bunch of people that I've met in my lifetime that their Christianity ends at that door right there. When they walk out the door, that's it. I mean, they're Christians in this room or in the auditorium of the church, but once they leave, they're not Christians anymore. Or once they get out, how they live their life, there's not enough evidence to convict them of being a Christian. We'll put it that way. But I love our church family that there's all kinds of evidence of people just being good to each other and serving at their capacity. Tammy called Patty yesterday, and someone from the church was over. Yesterday, Monday, someone at the church was over working on her house. And I just tickled with that. I mean, just whatever. If there's a need, we want to fill it, and I'm glad our church people keep an eye out for each other and needs in the community. Okay, Daniel chapter 8. Daniel chapter 8. We'll start reading. We'll read just the first couple of verses, I guess, and as part of this is we're getting more into the prophecies that Daniel had. Last week we talked about chapter 7. We talked about the difference between when God gave the revelation of the future to the king Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar saw the image that was made of gold and silver and brass and iron. But when he gave the revelation to Daniel of the four coming kingdoms, he gave him as a lion, and a lion with wings and stood upright, and a bear with ribs in its mouth, right, and a leopard. Okay, and then the fourth beast was the iron beast, teeth of iron that just destroyed everything, which is the Roman Empire. Okay, but now Daniel God through Daniel breaks down a little bit more of the history, coming history. Okay, for them, it's history now looking back at it, but it wasn't in Daniel's day. Daniel chapter 8, verse 1. In the third year of the reign of King Belshazzar, a vision appeared unto me, even unto me Daniel, after that which appeared unto me at the first. That means the first vision where I saw the other animals. And I saw in a vision, and it came to pass when I saw that I was at Shushan the palace, which is in the province of Elam, and I saw in a vision, and I was by the river of Ulai. Then I lifted up mine eyes and saw, and behold, there stood before the river a ram which had two horns, and the two horns were high, but one was higher than the other. And the higher came up last. And I saw the ram pushing westward and northward and southward, so that no beast might stand before him. Neither was there any that could deliver it out of his hand. But he did according to his will, and became great. Stop reading right there. Look at verse 1. Because Daniel said in the verse, in the third year of King Belshazzar, the vision appeared to me. So if you're looking at the timeline, the world empires, you had Nebuchadnezzar, the Babylonian Empire, then the Medo-Persian Empire, and then the Grecian Empire, and then the Roman Empire. Okay, Daniel is saying this happened in the third year of Belshazzar. That's in the first empire. That's before the Medes and Persians. That's before Daniel was thrown into the lion's den because by that time the second empire had taken over. Okay, so Daniel is still in this first. They're under the realm of Nebuchadnezzar, his grandson Belshazzar, and his third year of his reign. Okay. In this, let's go through what Daniel sees. He sees a ram with two horns. One horn is bigger than the other. When I think of a ram, what kind of ram do you think of when you think of a ram? Bighorn ram, right? That's what I think of. It's a bighorn ram, and that's what I think of because they have the mountains over there. They would have similar type sheep rams over there, right? So you think of the big rams like this, and you watch them crash into each other, right? You see that on the Discovery channels or Great America, Wild America, whatever that movie was. Okay, and so you think, and that's the thing I think of. So this ram comes from the west, pushing eastward, and from the east, from the east pushing westward, north and south, and so this next kingdom, and Daniel's right at the edge of this. He's lived through the first kingdom, and this is 500 BC, about 500 BC. They're getting ready to step into the second kingdom, and it is coming, but he doesn't know that it's coming. And this next empire that is coming it's like a two-horned ram, one's higher than the other, because it's Medes and the Persians. It's kind of two nations, two groups of people that have ganged together, and they're forming an empire, and they're fighting against Nebuchadnezzar's empire, Babylonian Empire, and they will take over. Okay, and there's no holding them back. There's no restraint at all in what they do. Okay, now let's read on a couple more verses because they're pushing west, north, and south, and nothing in the world can stop this thing. Okay, now look at verse 5. And as I was considering, behold, an he-goat came up from the west on the face of the whole earth, and touched not the ground. And the goat had a notable horn between his eyes. and came to the ram that had two horns, which I had seen standing before the river, and ran into him with the fury of his power. And I saw him come close into the ram, and he was moved with choler against him, with anger against him, and smote the ram and brake his two horns. And there was no power in the ram to stand before him, but he cast him down to the ground and stamped upon him. And there was none that could deliver the ram out of his hand. Yeah, okay, we can picture this by watching Discovery Channel, right? You ever watch Discovery Channel with two animals eating on each other, chewing on each other, whatever, or two animals fighting, or whatever it is. Or if you had a dog fight out in the yard or whatever, you can see this thing happening. But when I look at this, I think of a big horned sheep, a big ram, right, with big horns like this. When I think of a ram, that's what I think of, and a goat. Okay, well, who's going to win that battle? I would think the ram would be stomping that goat all to pieces. Wouldn't you think? Kathy, is that right? Marlon, what do you think? Okay, that would be my intent. When I think of that, I think, wow, that would be amazing to watch. Okay, just like on Discovery Channel, I was watching I think it was a great white shark eating a whale. Okay, if I remember, this a while back when I was staying in the hotel when I was working out of town, I thought, wow, that's amazing to watch. Okay, okay, you think nothing could beat the whale? Yeah, the great white shark can. Okay, he was feasting on it. Okay, so the Medo-Persian Empire is so powerful, nothing can stand in its way as it's marching eastward, and it dominates. Okay, and the next empire that comes is the Greek Empire, led by Alexander the Great. That's the notable one, the one in the middle, and it's divided. You read about these because the Greek Empire gets divided up into four kingdoms. And it comes with all its power and its anger from looking at it from your direction. The Medo-Persian came from the east going west, and then the Greek Empire came from the east, from the west and east, and they crashed together. And the ram has no power to stand against the Grecian Empire until the ram is just ground to pieces, right, and stomped on the ground, and there's nothing left. Okay, and when I think about how world empires are, or how most kingdoms are led, that's the way all of the history of the world is led that way. We will destroy them till there's none left, or until they give in completely, right? I mean, that's the way most battles are won. All right, we would in our nation's history, the battles are won when someone surrenders their sword or gives up completely. In American history, right, that's the way it's always been. The battle's not over until someone just gives up their sword or surrenders completely. Okay. So Medo-Persian Empire is completely annihilated by the Grecian Empire. And history, to me, look one more verse, okay? Because it just goes into the next thing. And God is doing the talking. God is telling Daniel God is showing Daniel these things. So history here's the next thing that's going to happen. Okay, verse 9. And out of one of them is the four horns that came up after out of the goat after Alexander the Great had died. And out of one, verse 9. And out of one of them came forth a little horn which waxed exceeding great toward the south and toward the east and toward the pleasant land, that's Jerusalem, Israel. And it waxed great even to the host of heaven, and it cast down some of the host of the stars to the ground and stamped upon them. They attacked Israel. Okay, this I can't remember what year this was, 320 something BC, I think. Yea, and he magnified himself into the prince of the host, and by him the daily sacrifice was taken away in the place of his sanctuary. Okay, that was a year. 171 BC. Okay, look at this one. God said, okay, the ram, Medo-Persian Empire, the Grecian Empire, but then after the battle's over, the Greeks have won. Then the Grecian Empire under Alexander the Great, he died at age 28. No more worlds to conquer, and then his kingdom is divided into four different groups. And one of them, who is not a powerful man, heads down into Jerusalem and just completely destroys the temple. I mean, if I remember the history right, he went in and offered a pig as a sacrifice and just annihilated the temple altogether. And it's, in Jesus' day, which is 150 years later, that when Jesus said, I'll destroy the temple and build it in 3 days, it's talking about his body. But they said, it took 23 years to build the temple. How you can build it in 3 days? It had to be rebuilt because this evil man What's his name? Antiochus Epiphanes, I think it's what I can't remember the name. Right? Anyway, this man went to Jerusalem completely destroyed. Is that right name? I think that's the right name. Okay, if I got it right. That's why they say it in our holler, put it that way. Okay? All right. In reading about this history, going all the way back to Genesis, when in Genesis chapter 3, when God gave the promise of the gospel, right? The promise of redemption, Genesis chapter 3, the first promise of redemption. Throughout all of history, God has written it out on this side of it before it ever happens. And says, this is what's going to happen, right? Told Adam and Eve what's going to happen. You're going to have a son, your descendant. It's going to bruise the head of the serpent. It's going to bruise your heel. Okay. And God says, on this side of history, I want to write this out so you know what's going to happen next. Okay? Now, if the history is already written, and the next story, when we read the chapter 8, it just goes to the next story as if, okay, here's the Chaldeans, here's the Medo-Persian Empire, here's the Greeks, and we'll go to the Empire, the Romans. And God says, here's the next thing, here's the next thing, that's next. And God said, in one verse in the Old Testament, he says, and after 40 years, we think of that's a lifetime. And God says, after 40 years, as if it's just a breath, right? Because it's not that long of a time for him. It doesn't mean that much to him in that time, but we do, but the time doesn't. Okay. If we could go back to tell our nation's history, how long? When did Columbus sail the ocean blue? 1492? Is that right? Is that the right date? Okay. Jerry's nodding yes. Charlie's not here, so I have to defer to Jared on the history part. Okay. So we only have less than 600 years of history here for us. Okay, and Native Americans before that. Okay, before our founding fathers, run through our history: Civil War, Great Depression, World War I, World War II, the pandemic, which seems to be the big thing now. When we think of things as big news, God's already written down what's going to happen and what the next thing is. You ever think about that? You know what's the news? The headline news. It's got the up to date, has to be on the date, right, up to the minute news. And when I'm driving down the road, this just in. I drive all the time. It's crazy. But people say, this just came in. This brand new, Trump just tweeted this or whatever. It's like you have to have this news right now. If I can get caught up in this, just like with the riots and whatever the things that are going on in America today, you can either get caught up in this, or you can step back and say, God already has this written out, right? He knew what was going to happen to that the man that got killed last week, right? He knew what was going to happen to that guy. He knew that the jogger was going to be shot that was jogging down in Georgia about 2 weeks ago, right? I mean, that's just he was just out jogging, and someone thought he was fit the description of somebody else. That's called profiling. We're not supposed to do that. And God says, okay, that's big news. Here's the next story. Okay? And we think of the pandemic. 40 million Americans lost their jobs in the last 4 months. That's a lot of people out of work, right? Okay. Then, if to us it's big news and God says, okay, here's the next story. Now, he already knows what the next story is. Like, we think, who's going to win the next election? There's a big election coming up in November, right? Who's going to win that? Is that a big deal to us? Yeah, but God already knows what's going to happen in 2021 or 2025 or 2028. We won't go past that in years. Okay? Won't go past 7 years because the rapture could occur today and the rest of them matter. And the question comes back to me, who's in charge? President Trump in charge? Not really. Okay? Not really. Joe Biden? What do you think, Mark? Don't say one thing. Don't say that here. What do you think, Marlon? Okay, so start with that. Okay. What the World Health Organization? Are they in charge? No, not really. I mean, the next story is already written out. They don't know what it is. And Trump doesn't know what it is, and Joe Biden doesn't know what it is. And nobody else does either, but God does. So the next story is already, whatever's going to happen next year is already written out in God's plan. Wouldn't you like to see the book? Wouldn't you like to have a Daniel today to say this is what's going to happen next year? Would anybody like to hear that? Jared said, I'd like the lottery numbers, please. Psalm 112, verse 4. Listen to this verse. I love this. I was reading it. I knew I was talking about the history part tonight, and then I read this verse in my daily reading the other day, Monday. Unto the upright there ariseth light in the darkness. He is gracious and full of compassion and righteous. Unto the upright. That means if you're right with, if you're saved, you're a child of God, and you're right with God, in your heart of hearts, everything is right in your sight, not in your sight, in His sight with your life. You yielded to Him. Unto the upright. It's more than just salvation. I think this is the condition of your heart. Unto the upright there ariseth light in the darkness. If we'd have listened to the news in February, we'd all be panicked right now, right? Because of the pandemic. Right? Did anybody listen to the news? Right? Anybody panic over the news? Over the pandemic? No. Our company sold a bunch of hand sanitizer and masks. Okay, and other sales are down because people aren't going into the regular places they go to, but it's kind of balanced out already. But the truth is, something inside of me says I don't want to panic because He is in charge, and I'm not going to panic over riots in the streets. Brother John, you ever been involved in a riot in the street? No, but I've talked to people that were involved in some race riots back in the 70s and some things that happened. And I've talked to people, and the people that were okay at that time, the riots were going on. I've some people that were right in the middle of something, didn't intend to be. They ended up right in the middle of something. And they talked about it. They were Christian guys, Christian boys, and they were young men. And everything was okay. Unto the upright there ariseth light in the darkness. And they knew they were okay the whole time. They knew everything was fine. Like there was a wild thing that was going on in their life, and they were in the middle of it. But the truth is, they knew everything was okay. He is gracious and full of compassion and righteous. When Jesus was standing before Pilate, I know I told him to preach on this last week. When Jesus was standing before Pilate, and Pilate said, "You know who I am? You know the power I have. I have power to take your life or let you keep your life." And Jesus' hands are bound. He said, "You have no power at all, for it won't give me you from my Father." That's light to the upright. Of course, Jesus was upright completely. That's complete. There ariseth light. So no matter on the worst things that are happening in our life, whether historically looking at it as a nation or personally looking at our lives, and things that happen, bad things happen in everybody's life. We lose loved ones. We all go through trials, whether it's family problems or health issues or finances, whatever it is. We all go through these things. There's always a light that is coming. Well, John, what if you get sick and die? Yeah, there's light at the end of the tunnel, right? If we all got sick and were to pass away, there's light on the other side, right? Okay. In the small picture, we get concerned about stuff. In the big pictures, the personal stories continue in the big picture, whether it's in the book of Daniel or in our life today. Think about this. Verse 1 day, Daniel said, this is the third year of Belshazzar. Belshazzar's grandfather was King Nebuchadnezzar. I know we went through this story a couple weeks ago. But Belshazzar is the grandson that is now the king, most powerful king in the world at the time that Daniel wrote this, and he doesn't even know who Daniel is. Okay? And Daniel was the one that told his grandfather the interpretations, told him the dreams that he had, told him the interpretations of the dream. The whole time Belshazzar was growing up, Daniel was up here beside the king. Nebuchadnezzar is the king in charge. He puts everything in his hand under the power of Daniel. Right? While Belshazzar's growing up, he doesn't even think to look over at who Daniel is. When I look at this, all the personal stories continue. Daniel will be thrown in the lion's den later on. All those personal stories continue just like the history is going forward. But to me, there's always light. There's always light inside of me. There's always hope for tomorrow. That's not like a hope like a politician hope. The hope is in Christ. Okay, what is the light? He's the light. Whether it's a revival or a rapture, something's going to happen, and God always has the next story written down. PR has said for 2 years now, over and over again, he says waiting for something to happen. Right? He's looking for something big to happen. And whether it's he's thinking revival in our church and in our whole community. Right? What if pandemic starts it? Okay? Could God use a riot to start this? Sure, why not? Okay? We read the next chapter and we look for the light. Here's the most important thing: we point other people to the light. Because if there's a riot, under the upright there's a rise of light in the darkness. If that light is shining inside of us, then it ought to be shining where everyone else can see us outside this church building. Right? When we go out those doors, everybody know who we are. Everybody know we're Christians. Okay? That's all there is. Any questions? Comments? What was the animal? That Middle-Persian Empire was a ram, right? What was the animal that took out the ram? Goat. Yeah. Okay. And you think that? When I think of it, I think of that ram coming down and the little goat going bang. It's over. But it didn't happen that way. God's got different plans. Things that you don't think is going to happen. Opposite, often, what we think could happen. He turns things around. Okay? Questions or comments? Well, I must have done an excellent job. There's no questions or no comments. Okay. Jerry, we dismiss this, please. Thanks for coming out tonight. I like they opened the bowling alley upstairs again. Yeah. They're having fun. I love the fact that our kids come here and have fun.